Welcome to Cinemophile, where we bring you the best in independent, documentary, and foreign films, and we talk to the people who made them. I'm your host, Mike Caspar, and you can find out more about the program by going to cinemaphilepod.com. All the Walls Came Down is Ondi Timoner's latest film. It's about the devastating Eaton fire that destroyed her home and her life's work in Altadena, California. She turns her camera on herself and the community in this powerful meditation on loss, resilience, and transformation, and an urgent portrait of a generation of families facing displacement and a town coming together in the face of destruction. Beautiful documentary short called All the Walls Came Down. We're joined today by the director, Ondi Timoner. Ondi, welcome back to the program.
Thank you, Mike. Thanks for having me back.
You're very welcome. You know, this would normally be where I would ask the filmmaker, so how did you decide to make your project? But I think it's fairly obvious why you wanted to do this in the sense. But was there ever any hesitation on your part to want to document what had happened?
100%. I mean, not in wanting to document it. That's something that I learned from, if I didn't learn it from Last Flight Home, then I need my head checked, because I didn't actually intend to make a documentary when I was filming my father in his last days. I was just filming to not forget a single word he said. And when I ended up making a film was that memorial video that I was making just 3 weeks after his death that kind of spiraled into a 32-minute film. And then its impact on people inspired me to keep going because I realized, oh my gosh, we don't talk about death very much in our culture. I felt like the way people were, the way they thought differently about death or had inspiration from just the 30 minutes I showed in that Zoom memorial and how it was really so fulfilling to me. I ended up making a feature film, and then that has just had such an impact on people and on laws. And I realized, oh my gosh, even though I don't think I'm making a film at the time, I should definitely film when I'm going through something that I think might have relevance to other people. And in this case, so many people lost their homes that night and the night before in the Palisades and Malibu and in Altadena. And I didn't know what I was going to think when I came back from Europe. And I had to get past the National Guard to get to my property on January 20th, but I knew enough to have it filmed. Yeah, I knew enough to just say, okay, this is total chaos. I've lost literally everything I ever created pretty much in this house and everything that I treasured that was material of any kind. And my mom's cat also died there. And everything that my son ever created since he was born, and all of the footage I ever had of him and of many of my films, but of him especially, before the iPhone was invented, is gone. That movie that I was going to make is just not going to happen. So it was just like a lot of grief and a lot of trauma and shock and yeah, and we just luckily for me, I've been making films for I guess 33 years or something, and so people immediately, wrote me by the hundreds to try to help and support. But a few people said, "Hey, and if you're going to film anything, and oh, by the way, I hope this doesn't sound crass, but I hope you're filming it." And I would say, "Well, I think I'll film it. I don't know if I'll make a film." And they said, "Well, let me help you." So Maggie Contreras, for example, who gets originating producer credit in this, she contacted us when we were still in Europe and said, "I want to produce your life, your recovery." And so she and Paula Duprez, who produced Porcelain Wars and many other great films, they just teamed up and started signing us up for FEMA and American Red Cross and all these different places. And when it came time to go back to the house, I said to them, "Do you know people who might be up for coming with me?" And so we filmed it and we just kind of went from there. But I actually didn't intend to make a film until I realized that my neighbors were getting pushed off their properties. And that's when I was like, I mean, I was following those stories because I feel like the film has this concentric circles. Like it almost has this, if you drop a pebble in a pond and the ripples, like that's the structure of this film. It starts in the ground zero destruction zone of my own life. And then it goes out to my neighbor across the street and my brother down the, mile south who lost his home. And then the silver lining is really found in the community and in Heavenly Hues and in coming together. And I think that's the message of the movie too, But it wasn't until I realized that it was a desperate and urgent situation that I should finish a short as soon as possible, so that the movie itself could have an impact and help save people's properties and save families from having to leave the home that they've had for, decades. So.
Yeah. You described it better than I can in the sense that what it so often happens in storytelling, and particularly in documentary filmmaking, is the micro illuminates the macro, the bigger story. And at times, even within your film, the macro, the larger story illuminates the lives of the people in your life. So there is a symmetry to this unfolding disaster. And while there's enough footage of the fire itself to give us a sense of what happened and how devastating and how ruthless this event was, we also get to meet the people who are impacted. And this is what I just find so wonderful about your work, especially of late, is you're turning something that will resonate with many, many people, if not everyone, in the sense of loss and recovering from loss and moving forward, and in some ways, somehow being better as you move forward as well. So, my congratulations to you on that sort of level of storytelling, and especially glad that you picked up your camera and brought a lot of people along with you for it.
Yeah, I thank you. Yeah, I'm so glad I did. Filmmaking for me is clearly my second language. Recording life as it's unfolding and understanding, how to do that is something that it just takes years and years and years to figure out, I guess. But at this point, it's something that's there for me also, because everyone that is helped by this film, and we just did the premiere at Telluride, and now all of these resources are coming to Altadena via Heavenly and Demetrius, who came to Telluride with us. And one, people, like people saw the movie, people met them and heard their story and understood what Altadena not for sale means. And now we're bringing direct relief to families, and it's going to really help the community. And that helps me. Like you said, it just kind of like goes out from me, but then it comes back to me, and it allows me to forget about everything that I lost and think forward, think present, think like, okay, how can I help? Because it's always by helping that we feel better.
Yeah,
We feel like, okay, we can do something.
yeah,
And thank God for the camera. Thank God for the editing system. Thank God that I'm in this position and be able to do that, And I feel like my intimate story and the way that we share it, it's not something that my wife Morgan would probably ever want. She really didn't want this film, even though she's written a gorgeous score for it. She is so supportive and awesome, and I'm sure you loved when she picks up that instrument out of the ruins
yeah,
and starts playing it. She's so talented,
yeah,
but she didn't want me to do this. She really, really didn't want me to do this. It's painful to her. She lost her home, her childhood home, when she was in fifth grade as well. And now she's lost everything again in this fire. For her, it's not something she would have liked, and she has a tough relationship with the film, but she knows that this is something I needed to do, and she supported me in it. But I think it's like it is really, I saw the joy and I saw the healing that happened even for her at Telluride as we were able to bring resources back to Altadena and to help save the neighborhood. Such a unique and diverse neighborhood. And if we can be a part of saving it through filmmaking and through our score and through opening people's hearts and minds and getting people to be aware of it, it's great.
So let's give some context to what happened in Altadena. Let's talk about the history of Altadena, why that's important.
You know, we uncovered in the research and after Heavenly informed me of just the fact that I had never understood this. I just didn't know. I thought Owen Brown came, and I thought that blacks settled in Altadena more so than in other places because that's where they came to, and because it was a great liberal town. And that's what I understood about Owen Brown and the history of the liberators and how he was a fugitive of the US government after Harper's Ferry and after John Brown led that kickoff of the Civil War, if you will. And he came to Altadena. What I understood from a plaque on Brown Mountain, where I would take hikes all the time, where his grave is still, is that he came because it was a bastion of liberalism. I didn't know that blacks families were actually forced to Altadena if they wanted to settle at all. They couldn't settle in Pasadena. They weren't allowed. And so I felt like it was really important to tell a little bit of the story of how the community got to be so uniquely diverse, and also how unique a place it was for that, because everybody was doing okay. Not everybody, but I mean it was a strong middle class
Yeah.
in Altadena. And people, a lot of shop owners and mom and pop type places, and everybody really was okay. And then this happens, and a lot of people aren't don't have insurance, because you don't have to have insurance if you own a home. And they've had their homes for decades now because of redlining. What's at risk is the very fabric of our town. The fact Randy Vance, my neighbor across the street, he's gonna rebuild by hook or by crook, but they're all short a lot of money. Not everyone, but
Yeah.
most of us, all of us, even myself, I'm underinsured. Everybody's underinsured. It's just, what backup resources are there? That's the other key. I'm in a position where I can survive, and a lot of people are facing homelessness, or they've been pushed out of their properties, or they're getting pushed out of their properties by these onerous reverse mortgages that are at an interest rate that people can't afford. And so they're mounting interest right now while they're scrambling to figure out how to just feed their families. It's outrageous. And these loaning companies are pushing these foreclosures when at the end of the day, the power company is responsible for this fire. And we all know that. There's footage to prove it. And there's a big lawsuit, and it's going to get settled. And all of these families are going to get money, and they're going to be able to stay if they can hang on. So people like Heavenly Hughes are absolutely crucial. She does as much in the fundraising and in bringing in resources as she does in spreading those resources through the community, as she does in bolstering people's faith and hope.
Yeah.
She's a very special person.
This
Yeah.
is a part of the history of an area I grew up in. I was there for 25 years, just down the road, literally probably the same latitude as Altadena, and I didn't know any of this.
I live there, and Randy and I have been close friends for 13 years, 14 years. 15 years, but I didn't know. I mean, I knew he'd lived there forever, and I'd seen pictures of him
Wow.
on his prom outside his house. He'd shown me those, but I never knew like anything about the redlining. I didn't know
Yeah.
that this was a forced situation to begin with. And now they're going to be forced out. So that's what Altadena not for sale means. Altadena not for sale means we're not selling, and don't sell. And even, Heavenly's been experimenting with these trades of like, well, what if you have to sell, and you really feel like you have to because you're an elderly person who's never going to be alive to see the rebuild and doesn't want to spend the next 5 years in construction, understandable, but then sell to a black or brown family
Right.
so that
Right.
we can keep sort of the diversity, because it is prime real estate. I mean, I'm getting calls for my property every day while I was on this Zoom.
Okay. Oh, wow. Well,
Yeah.
I can tell you, I do know that I've seen recent stories about people bonding together by essentially rebuild in as a group, so that it spreads out the cost. I've heard people have resorted to some version of that, where they'll go to a contractor and say, "Here are 5 homes." They save money on materials and time and a lot of different ways in which they're trying to accomplish what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's a good thing too. I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
at the end of the day, the message is really that we need to stop living in these isolated silos, and really we need to take time to talk to our neighbors,
Yeah,
and we need to take care of each other. And honestly, like, the biggest message I think is not, to bond together afterwards, but bond together now,
right, right.
before disaster strikes again, which it will. And
Yeah,
that's
it
how it
will.
goes. It
Yeah,
will, and more and more and more. We need to get to know our community, and we need to, yes, rebuild together, but also, as Lucy Walker said, bring your own brigade.
yeah,
We
yeah,
need to, yeah, arrange for emergency services. to be in place. We have to all have each other's phone numbers. There were no fire trucks. There were no evacuation orders in Altadena, in West Altadena. And all of those 19 people died very, very close to my home, to where I lived. My neighbor to the north of me almost died, was pulled out at like 4:30 in the morning by her son and lost every pet.
Just,
It's,
I
yeah,
can't
it's
imagine.
really hard.
All the walls came down. Is there a rollout? Is there a way for people that will be able to see it in the near future, or when and how?
So it's in the theater at the Glendale Lemley, starting tomorrow night, which is Friday. So Friday night,
Mhm.
September 12th. It's already sold out, and there'll be a Q&A after. And then also Saturday night is sold out.
Great.
But Sunday night is not yet sold out. And we will be doing a Q&A after Sunday and a gathering for everybody afterwards. And then it's on screen at least through next Thursday. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 38 minutes. And it's only $10 a ticket. So
And that's
it's
the
at
Lemley,
Glendale
Glendale?
Lemley.
That's the
Yeah.
Glendale, Lemley? Okay, good.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Yep.
it's opening there. And then also, yeah, we have streaming plans. We have plans in the future that I don't know if I'm at liberty to say, but
Okay.
it won't be for a while. It will be probably after we do the theatrical now, it'll be probably November when we
Okay.
release the film.
Okay.
Yeah. Late November.
Well, this is a film that's literally ripped from today's headlines. I mean, if you want to know what's going on today, this is a great primer, and it will tell you things that you did not know. You will understand it much better in that regard.
Oh, I appreciate that because that's, I mean, that's the challenge. The challenge that was the filmmaking challenge of this film
Yeah.
was to include my very intimate personal story, the story of my family and, who also suffered in the fire, but also to bring the community and to kind of make all of that work together. Yeah, and then there was so much information, yeah, to share as well.
Yeah, there is.
So,
I once again want to thank our guest today, Ondi Timoner, for her work not only on All the Walls Came Down, but also All God's Children, which is opening in New York City coming up on September 26th, so be looking for it. Ondi Timoner, thank you for your continuing exploration of the human spirit, and these are two great examples of that. So thank you so much for spending some time with us.
thank you, Mike. Thanks for having me back.
You have been listening to Cinemaphile with Mike Kaspar, the place where you will hear from the best in independent documentary and foreign filmmakers. Please check out our previous interviews as well as upcoming interviews and special programming by going to cinemaphilepod.com. We are also available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube, searchable under Cinemaphile with Mike Kaspar. Until next time, thank you for listening.